Hey everyone, it's Nora from Nora's Arc here, and it's July 23rd here in southern Wisconsin, and the garden is popping off. So we garden here in zone 5A, and this is the time of the year when the garden tells us what to eat. So what I mean by that is just we plan all of our meals around the garden, and something that we're doing differently this year is we're keeping track of all of our harvests in a spreadsheet. That way we know how many pounds of each plant we're getting so that we can feed our family. So let's start off with what we have going on here. So we have 2 raspberry bushes here, and we've harvested 7 pounds of raspberries off of these bushes so far. And we started harvesting them probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So that many raspberries in that short amount of time. What have we been doing with these raspberries? We have been making raspberry crisps, which is amazing. And then we have also been just freezing any raspberries that we can't get to. We also have 2 blackberry bushes here, and those aren't popping off just yet, but we have a lot of black raspberries that will be turning black soon. So today for the garden tour, what we're going to be doing is focusing on everything that we're harvesting right now. So let's go into the big garden and see what else we're harvesting. Something else we've been harvesting a lot of, and you know this if you're also in Wisconsin, is squash. So summer squash in particular, we have yellow crookneck squash that we have harvested about 3 pounds off of. And then we have just 1 zucchini plant, and we've already gotten almost 10 pounds of zucchini off of that. And we have like a few monster guys on there that we need to pick. So I'm assuming that's gonna go up to like 15 pounds today after we harvest those. But something else that I wanted to show you guys is this insane monster squash plant that we have here. I mean, come on, this squash is humongous. So this is called a zucchino rampicante plant, and it's like a mix between a squash and a pumpkin, and it's just giant zucchini. So I guess that what I was reading this morning is that you can harvest these as summer squash, so you can harvest them when they're green like this, or you can wait until they turn like a tan, like a butternut squash, and then you can use them for winter squash and have them, just store them and then use them later. But we grew this plant because we thought it was gonna be really cool, and it is really cool, it just looks awesome. But now we have literally no idea what we're gonna do with this squash, because it's like, what do you do with this big of a squash? So if you guys have ideas and you're growing one of those, let us know in the comments. But what we've been doing with our normal size squash, our zucchini and our summer squash, with our zucchini, the favorite thing that we've been making so far is a zucchini lasagna. So we just replace the noodles with the zucchini, and it's been super good. And then tonight we're also gonna make some zucchini bread. We're gonna make a savory one and a sweet one. And then with our summer squash, we've just been cutting those up and then putting some breadcrumbs on them and roasting them, and they're super good. So that's what we have going on with the squash. As you can see, it's ginormous. So let's go take a look at some other things that we have going on in the big garden. We've also been harvesting a ton of beets, but you wouldn't even know because this patch is still huge and really full and abundant. We've harvested 21 pounds of beets off of this patch so far, and we still have a ton. Some things that we like to do with our beets is we like to just roast them and then dip them in ranch and eat them. And then something that we've been wanting to try is we're gonna try a beet burger. So essentially you kind of just make like a meatloaf, but instead of using meat, you use beets. So we're gonna try that, and we're hoping it turns out really good. This one isn't as exciting because it's pretty empty, but that's because we've harvested a ton of radishes off of this patch. I think this patch is about like 6 feet by 3 feet. And so 18 square feet, and we've harvested 27 pounds of radishes out of this small space. We have a few left that we'll clear out, but what we like to do with our radishes is we'll just cut them up, put them on a salad. Love eating salads. We also have a lot of lettuce coming out of the garden right now. And then also sometimes we'll just roast them. We love doing that with a lot of our vegetables. We just roast them in the oven with some olive oil, salt, and pepper, and they taste really good. Also wanted to show you some of the greens that we're harvesting out of our garden. this kale and this Swiss chard looks so good. If you've ever grown Swiss chard or kale, you know that you can have holes in the leaves if bugs are eating them, or they can just not look as abundant as this. And the reason that we believe our Swiss chard and our kale look so good, along with everything else in our garden that looks amazing, is because we really did an extensive job of treating our soil this year. So we got a soil test, and then we added a bunch of nutrients to our soil. And we believe that that is why our kale and our Swiss chard looks so good, because bugs don't like to attack strong plants. And these plants are really strong because of the soil that they're growing out of. If you want more details on how we did all of that, how we treated our soil, I'll link a video in the description of a video that we did on that whole process. Last thing that I wanted to show you here in the big garden before we show you our last crop on our fence is our basil. So we literally just came out here and pinched the tops off of our basil, and we filled a 5-gallon bucket full of basil. We weighed it and it was 2.5 pounds of basil, and we ended up making 11 jars of pesto that we got to put in our freezer. So that's super exciting. We have so much basil right now. And just wanted to tell you why you want to pick the tops off of your basil is if you want to pinch the tops off, because then you will get a bushier basil plant. So every time you pinch off the top leaves, it creates 2 new sprouts, and then 2 new sprouts grow. And if you multiply that by all of the different branches on your basil, then you end up with a really bushy basil plant. And it sounds counterintuitive. Why would you want to pick your basil to make it grow more? But that's what we've been doing a lot this year, and our basil plants are just super abundant. The last thing I wanted to show you guys is our cucumbers that we have on our fence. So we have harvested about 7 pounds of cucumbers from these plants just in like the last 2 weeks. We have our cucumber monster out here. She is trying to pick her own. She loves cucumbers. And the unfortunate thing for her is that all of our cucumbers have been super healthy this year, because normally she'll get the ones that don't look as good. But we've still been giving her a couple here and there. But the reason that our cucumbers are so healthy this year is because we decided to grow all pest and disease resistant varieties this year. We had a big problem with cucumber beetles last summer, and it destroyed our whole crop of cucumbers. So what we did is we did a lot of research on that. We treated our soil, and then we found out that you want to grow pest resistant and disease resistant varieties of cucumbers, so that way even if you do have cucumber beetles come attack your plants, they won't suffer from them. So we've seen a few cucumber beetles here and there. We've crushed them off, and we haven't noticed anything detrimental to our plants. So we're just super excited on how great these cucumbers look this year. And like I mentioned, we harvested about 7 pounds of them, and we did some fermented pickles. So we did a batch of that, and then we also did some refrigerator pickles. So all in all, we hope that you guys enjoyed seeing what we have going on in the garden today, and just wanted to show you all like what we're harvesting and how we're using it, so that way you know how you can use some things that you're probably harvesting from your garden right now. We make this YouTube channel because we just want to show other people that it's possible to grow your own food no matter how much space you have. So we have less than an acre of land here, and we utilize every inch of it for growing our own food. And if you learned something from this video today, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to our channel, so that way you can stay tuned on everything we got going on in our garden.